All right, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns are tied at 2 games apiece in the Western Conference Finals. It seemed like the Lakers are going to run away with the series pretty easily. They're pretty much scoring at will. It seemed like it was going to be a cakewalk for the Lakers during the first 2 games in LA. However, going into Phoenix is a totally different story. The Suns have been playing great. I'm going to give them credit. I'm going to say their defense has been definitely working for them. The zone, they went to a zone. It definitely worked. Some people call it a girly zone. A lot of people say, "Oh, you have to play a zone, so you're a pussy team." I don't get that logic. This is the NBA playoffs. Whatever's going to get the job done. You know, whatever works works. The Phoenix Suns should not be ashamed at all. I totally agree with Alvin Gentry when he said that. So yeah, and Kobe and Phil Jackson. I kind of agree with them a little bit. They're not playing great defense. The Lakers are playing pretty bad defense. They're not getting out to the shooters. This whole series is way too many open shots for both teams. I'd say that. But however, I would give Phoenix credit. They are playing great defense. They are taking away the middle for the Lakers. The Lakers can't just drive at will. It definitely hurt Odom. It definitely hurt Gasol. Gasol's being clogged in the middle. The only way the Lakers are in these games is because Kobe's hitting his outside jumpers. But the rest of the Lakers really aren't hitting their shots. Artest has been looking. He's been looking really, really old and sluggish this whole series. And Derek Fisher, the guys on TNT talked about this. Derek Fisher is probably the worst point guard in the league, or one of the worst. He's just not that type of point guard that you really want to break down a zone. Contrary to what people believe, and I kind of agree with Kenny Smith. The zone is not that hard to drive against. Some people say, "Oh, you can't drive against the zone," but just take a couple dribbles into the zone, pass out, pass it back. It's really not that hard. I kind of agree with that. So Fisher's not someone. He's very, very spotty. He's just mainly a spot up jump shooting type of point guard. So yeah, I mean that's a lot of the reason why the Lakers are struggling. Because they're not really familiar with playing against the zone, and it's definitely hurt Gasol. And like I said, I think if they could take Gasol out of this series, Gasol and Odom, just limit their numbers, the Phoenix definitely has a chance. Kobe's going to get his. He shot beautifully last night. He scored 39 points. I believe he hit at least 6 3-pointers. So, but yeah, think like the Phoenix's defense. It is opening up their offense, especially in transition. A lot of guys are getting open jump shots. Shannon Fry, he's got his rhythm back. Nash has been playing great. Amari Stoudemire. I think Amari Stoudemire, taking the ball to the basket is definitely another key factor, because I think that again that opens up the perimeter, and that's always been Phoenix's forte, to push the ball and to get guys shots on the perimeter. So this team, this team is a nightmare to play defense against. The Phoenix Suns have always been a good offensive team. That's just their history. The franchise has always been great offensively, and this is even though I'm a Laker fan, I will be very, very happy if Phoenix would win this series. I'm a big Steve Nash fan, so. But even as a Laker fan, this is not a bad thing for the Lakers. Just like the Oklahoma City series, this is going to get them ready for the finals. I don't necessarily think it's a great thing just to sweep every series. It's good to have some adversity. This is great practice for them. Because this is going to get them more focused on the defensive end and offensively as well. It's good. It's not a bad thing. To play extra games in the playoffs. Some people say, "Oh, the Lakers need rest. They need to get rest. They need to rest up for the finals." I kind of agree. I kind of disagree with that. I think it's better to have repetition than rest in certain cases. I know the Lakers are getting old and everything, but still, this is not a bad thing. To play extra games and to to face some adversity in the Western Conference Finals. It's a great thing in my opinion. So let's talk about the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic really quickly. Boston is kind of looked like they were going to run away with the series. They were up 3 games to nothing. I think that the thing that benefited Boston the most was they took a gamble. The first game, they decided not to apply double coverage to Dwight Howard. They decided to play him straight up, which was a good move because Dwight was kind of rusty when the series first started. He has not been spectacular in this playoffs. He's been in foul trouble in a lot of his previous games when Orlando ran through everyone. So he really didn't have, time to get into his rhythm this whole playoffs. He's finally getting into his rhythm now, but because they couldn't double team Dwight Howard, that kind of limited the open jump shots that Rashard Lewis and Vince Carter would get. So Rashard has been totally off in this series. I think a lot of that has to do with he just hasn't had the chance to get up a lot of shots. On the other hand, Vince Carter's been very, very disappointing. He's been a liability on defense. His defense has been laughable. I know Vince is a pussy. He is a pussy in my opinion. Because I only say that because he's such a great player. This guy is one of the most talented players in the league. He's probably, if he wanted to be, he could be more talented than Kobe. There was a time when Vince was considered more talented than a Kobe Bryant. But he's just, someone on Yahoo said this, that Vince played the last game like he booked the flight to the Caribbean. So, and I kind of agree with that. But give Orlando credit. Two guys won that game for them in Game 4 that kept them alive. Jameer Nelson and Dwight Howard. Like I said, Dwight's getting into his rhythm. And Jameer Nelson, I've been critical of him in the past. Jeff Van Gundy's been critical of him, because he's a point guard that can't really see over the defense. He's not a flashy point guard, but he did get the job done. He made some big shots, so give him a lot of credit. But can the Magic still win this series? I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think they'll win Game 5. I think they have a lot of momentum heading into Game 5 in Orlando. But to win 6 games, to win Game 6 in Boston, it's going to be tough. If I had to put my money on it, I still say Boston will win the series in 6 games. However, no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. It's never been done before. But if I could pick one coach, to coach my team to try to come back from this deficit, it'd be Stan Van Gundy. If Mike Woodson was coaching this team, forget about it. Orlando wouldn't stand a chance. But I think Stan Van Gundy is the kind of coach that will, fight and just motivate his team and just, try to, just make his team keep fighting till the end. I think Stan Van Gundy, he's the perfect coach, to try to pull this off. It'd be a miracle if they did pull this off. But I wouldn't count them out yet. I think this could be a very, very interesting series. We'll see what happens tonight. If I had to say, I'd probably say Boston and the Lakers will meet in the finals again. I think everyone's expecting that. I think that's what most people want to see. But still, I still think both teams. I still think Phoenix and Orlando do have a chance. In both of these series. So we'll see what happens tonight. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.